How is everybody doing? This is Sit Down with Sniper, episode 22, I believe. And we are sitting down with someone who is amazing, someone who I have been getting very close with because they are such an amazing person. And I think I said amazing twice, but that's how amazing they are. His name, none other than Kipz. How you doing, brother?
What's going on?
Man, it is like I told you earlier, I was being lazy as hell. I was laying in bed and I was like, you know what? I got to get up and record this episode today. So we are here. We are in a good mood. It's like 75 outside today. I'm going to go outside and yeah, they're having like a big firework event downtown. I'm not going to it, but just a good day for the city, man. So how you doing today?
I'm good. It's definitely not 74 here. It's definitely 54, I think, out today, which has been pretty decent for the first time. So
dang. Oh, that's decent. 54
that's
is
decent for this. Yeah, I live in New York, so this is decent for right now.
Oh my. Hopefully during NFT NYC it's a little different because I cannot do that code. Last time I went to New York, I was on like the Brooklyn Bridge and it started raining on me. And my friend convinced me before we left, like, no, bro, don't be soft. Like, you don't gotta wear a jacket. It ain't that cold. So I'm like, okay, like I'm not gonna wear a jacket. And what do you know? We get on the Brooklyn Bridge and it just starts pouring on me and I get sick. So
a little hoodie or a light jacket, yeah, is always a good idea in New York.
Oh, I will be bringing one for sure, regardless the temperature.
You're going black puffer jacket, aren't you?
Yes, sir. You already know, man. The black puffer with the New York hat and the Timbs. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Let's go.
So for all the listeners that are listening in right now, I want to let everybody know that we will be doing the podcast still every Monday. I am not doing spaces on Wednesday no more. That has been put on a pause. As of right now, I've been trying to do a set schedule of like every 3 days or 4 days, trying to do every other day doing spaces. But here now, I'm trying to sit back and really make a set plan on what days I want to do it. So hopefully soon I can give exact days, not keep bouncing around. For some reason, I've been consistent on Saturdays, so at least know that you can find me on Saturdays. But we're going to try to do like a Tuesday, Thursday, 2, 3, 4 days to where we're still doing spaces. Other than that, I want to say that what else can I share with everyone? I think that's about it for that. But with you, Kipz, I wanted to jump into what you're doing in the space. For some that may not know you, you have a Genesis project, which we will talk about, and then you have an upcoming project that kind of plays off of that Genesis project. So before we get into the whole project, I do want to kind of dive into who you are, not necessarily as a person. We don't have to get super deep into the life, but when you got into crypto, when you got into NFTs, how early you were to these things. So to start it off, let's kind of look at, if you can, talk us through when you first got into crypto, man.
So I actually got into crypto back in September, I guess.
Okay.
I had an opportunity like a long time ago to get into Bitcoin at a really low price, but it just didn't happen at the time. So I've always kind of looked back at that as like a missed opportunity. And NFTs kind of came on my radar maybe towards the end of last year, but I got pretty into it when a buddy of mine I was working with brought the whole conversation up. And have you heard of NFTs? And I kind of rolled my eyes. He's like, no, I get it, but just listen. And he told me for about an hour about his experience, like what it's really all about and everything. And it was enough to get me to buy my first Ethereum that night. And I minted a project maybe 2 or 3 days later. So it was a pretty quick transition from like, this is all bullshit and like, I don't know anything about this to, all right, I'm in, like, let's go. And it was a money conversation. Obviously, that's usually how most people get into NFTs is like, hey, they've got a buddy that made some money or they saw some tweet with a guy that made $100,000 selling an ape, whatever it is. But that's enough to get your attention and get you into this space. What keeps you around is obviously what you found, the communities, the people, stuff like that. So it's been a wild couple of months, I guess, but it feels like years in NFT time. But yeah.
So I do want to ask you, what was the project? I have to know. If you remember.
The project he told me about?
Yes.
It was Cryptodes. He had bought a Cryptode for like $900. and
Oh,
was like, hey, I'm getting offers that I'm turning down for almost $20,000. Like that's when they were really like flying, you know? And I was like, wait a second, what do you mean you turned down a $20,000 offer on a $900 thing you bought a week ago? Like that's what really like made me question what he was doing. Cause this is a really smart guy. Like I had worked with him at a client and like, he's a very talented, like business minded guy. But he was very adamant that like, I'm not taking this $20,000 for this pixel toad. And like, to me, that was the weirdest thing. But also I was like, all right, now you got to tell me like really what's up and what's going on. And it got, you know, really deep down the rabbit hole where, like I said, within an hour, I was like, all right, so how do I buy Ethereum? Like, what's a MetaMask? What's all that stuff? And he was nice enough to walk me through it.
dang. I mean, no, for one, that's a good friend. For two, anyone buying cryptos at 900 and informing you about it is a really good friend.
Yep.
But I mean, no, I mean, that's cool, man. I mean, in like you said, I do look for the communities and stuff, but I mean, so whenever it came to those cryptos, like once you bought your first ETH, or so what would it be first? Ether, ETH? I don't know. I'm always terrible with that. But what did you start doing after that? Like, did you start looking for communities? Did you start looking for the art? I know you were new, but
Yeah.
now being where you're at, looking back, was there anything that you would have changed?
I mean, yeah, you know, you wouldn't. I mean, the first project that I minted was Foxfam, and
Okay.
I don't know if you've come across them or like seen them. It's an
Yeah.
animation studio out of the UK. Super talented. Like they've got a ton of like A-list. Burger King was one of their clients. Like really good animation work, and they decided they wanted to get into the NFT space. So like my second or third day in the space, I came across them. They were minting a new project. I was like, this is the kind of like, you know, it's not some anonymous person. This is like a known animation studio doing this NFT thing. And that felt safe to me at the time. Like, how could this not be a winner, right? I've seen some things change in those 6 months that I've been in the space, as far as like, you can have a great roadmap, you can have a docs team, you can have all this stuff. And then sometimes just the community moves so fast that they're like, nope, on to the next, right? I still hold 7, 8 of these foxes. I mean, I'm still very bullish on the project and the team and everything else, but I've definitely learned to slow down when it comes to minting projects. I minted anything and everything I could get my hands on in the first 2 months. And none of that is worth jack right now. I can tell you for sure, except those foxes, right? So sticking to your conviction and knowing what you're getting into, knowing why you're buying a project, like, is it to flip? Is it to hold? Is it really for the art, right? Everybody says it's for the art. Bullshit, right? If you're saying it's for the art and then turning around and listing it the same day, like it wasn't about the art, it was about you flipping, which is fine. Like profits are great, money is fine. But I really started to like stop and think like, what am I in this for? And yeah, money's great, flips are great. You know, I still try to mint, you know, a couple of projects just for that purpose, but I got way into like photography and art and things like that really quickly, which I think you can kind of follow that. So it's quite a journey and I'm obviously still new and on that journey, but it's fun. It's definitely been fun.
Boy, oh boy, I already know what you mean, dude. I hear people say, and I find it really funny too, that whenever people are like preaching, like, oh, I love the art, bro. I'm here for the art, only the art. And I'm like, you have never bought a piece of art in your life besides like a mixtape CD cover, and that had some like Photoshop on the cover. Like that's all you had. Like, but it's all good though, you know, and that's not mashing
Each their
nobody.
own. Yeah, I don't fault anybody if they want to be in it just for the money. Like that's a great place to be in it for the money, as long as you know
Yeah,
right. But again, I started seeing the value in not only being able to collect really cool art that I vibed with, especially like photography where I'm getting prints, or I just got my first F.dot print this week.
Oh, dude.
So physicals are big to me. Like I want to sit here and look at this art, but also having that digital copy on the blockchain, that provenance of ownership, that kind of stuff really, you know, sits well with me. So it's that mix between like really collecting art and also wanting to make a profit, because a lot of the stuff that I buy is not being sold again, right? My biggest conviction play was a letter, and that like two months into the space, I'm like, I've got to get one of these letters, and that's when they were like 7, 8 ETH. And it's like, there's no way you're going to get that kind of money together. But it's like, it was conviction. I was like, I'm going to get one of these because I absolutely love this art and I probably won't end up selling it. So it was just, I've got to do what I can do to get to that point, get myself a letter, I made some really cool plays and it worked out. And, back in January, I got that letter. So
Hell yeah.
it's not going anywhere for a long time.
That's good, man. I love hearing stories like that. It's something that you were really wanting. You had the conviction enough to make the plays, sit back, do what you do, and you got it, man. I love hearing stuff like that. And I know we talk about seeing everything go on in the space, watching all these projects as you were coming up, Fox Fam, you were doing your investing, you were learning the ropes. At what point, which we'll talk about deeper, did it click that you were like, I think I want to do my own collection?
So I think that draw is there for everybody once you're in the space for a little while. And again, maybe it's the money part where you see somebody sell a collection and make $1 million, right? And you're like, oh, what the hell? Like I can draw something. For me, the art came before the collection. Like I just started drawing shit because I wanted to draw shit again. Most of my days are spent consulting for bigger companies and things like that, and my name is never attached to it. Like I'm a consultant, so I design whatever it is, a web page or a brochure or whatever I'm doing that day, and like it's out the door and it looks great and the company's happy, but it's not really my work at the end of the day if you're not associated with it, right? So I was drawing things, I had shared something and somebody commented on Twitter like, hey, like basically I fuck with that ghost, like this is cool, like keep doing that. And I was like, really? Like, okay. And like, I drew a couple more, and I think a couple more people were like, hey, like, I like this. Like, what's this all about? I'm like, it's about me drawing this little ghost, right? Like there wasn't like a whole agenda to it or anything, but 2 or 3 people were like, hey, like maybe you should do a project, or like maybe you should do a little collection. And at that point, it really was kind of just funny to me. Like, yeah, I'll do a collection, right? So I set up the good old OpenSea shared contract, like most new people do, right? I posted a couple of Booze, the ghost that I draw, on there, and maybe like 2 weeks in, somebody bought one and messaged me and said, that same kind of thing. Like, I really mess with this. Like, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. And it was for 0.03 at the time, which is again $100, right? And I broke down in tears. Like, so that was a very odd feeling, right? To sell a really silly little pixel ghost for $100 and have it draw that kind of emotional, like, whoa. And I stopped to think, like, why did that just hit me so hard? And it's like I said, because I don't really create things that are mine. I create things for other companies and other clients and things like that. And at the end of the day, having something that people knew that I did actually get a response was kind of everything. And that's when it really clicked to me, like, oh, this is why people do this. It's not just about a collection or stuff. It's about having a community of people root you on. And I found more and more of that. Like, obviously, the longer I stay in the space and the more you support other people too. It's not just about you. If you're not out there every day, like you and I, are supporting other people and other artists in the space, then you're not going to get what's really here. You're not going to get the full picture. And once I started watching other people succeed and stopped getting jealous of that success and started rooting for them actively, my whole life changed. Like, everything was just like, that's that click moment, right? It's not about what I do in the space. It's about the space. And it sounds so stupid and corny. I get that. But like, it's really about watching others succeed, because when one rises, we all rise. Again, all these cliche things are really coming to light in this space, I think. So
no, I don't think it sounds stupid at all. I mean, of course, there's been times in life where we say things like that, and it is usually in cliche moments, but I mean, it's really happening in this space. I mean, you knock someone in this space, you got to think it's like, if you want them to do bad, then you want NFTs kind of as a whole to do bad. If you don't want them to get looked at, then who do you want to get looked at? If it's already a big person and they're getting bashed, it's like, well, damn, how do you think people perceive the space then? But with your project, man, it was so cool because I found you early on and you were still doing the Genesis collection and there was a space going on. And yeah, during the space, we had heard you, it was either speak on the collection. I think you said something and then you showed us. I can't remember if at the time you could pin tweets at the top. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah, somebody else had brought it up and I still struggle to remember. It was either Toby or Ali.
I want to say
was on the space.
I want to say it was Ali.
Okay.
I
So
want to say
I've
it
gone
was
back and
Ali.
forth between the two, but one of them was on the space and I just happened to jump in because I think Vinny was in there and I just like really started vibing with Vinny's stuff and was chasing that letter. So I
Mm-hmm.
jumped into space and like out of nowhere, as soon as I jumped in, either Ali again or Toby was like, hey, there's that Booze Crew. I just came across them this morning, like, hey, everybody go check out Booze Crew. And like that was the first time I jumped into space and somebody even acknowledged that I was there, right? So again, it was one of those again click moments where you're like, oh, wait a second, and like people just started like looking at the collection. They were sharing, they were laughing. Like the amount of laughter in that space again was legendary. Like just sitting there and having all these people that I had looked up to for the last several months, looking at stuff that I drew and being like, this is cool. Oh, and by the way, buying it, right? So we sold out every boo that night. Like it was the original Genesis collection of 50 of these little boos that I did, and they all sold that night. And the people that got them were all like my heroes of the space. So that changed again, everything, right?
It was a probably a surreal moment for you because for us, I was for the longest time, Ali was doing a run with Jack and me and Hales and Lobesy, and a lot of us were doing spaces every single day. I think there for a month, I gained like 1,000 followers. I think every month for like 2 or 3 months straight.
Wow.
And it was getting to the point to where like it was like, damn, this is like really fun. And we were just doing it because we enjoyed the space. And that night that we came across Booze Crew, it was just super fun. It was a good day, fun night. And not only were they affordable, one of my favorite things about the whole collection that made me want to buy it was all the cultural references that I would see. And every time I would go to click on one that I like, someone was front running me, like they were picking it up and picking it up. So I was like, damn, I gotta hurry up and go find something that I really like. So I ended up picking up the jack-o'-lantern one. So
the pumpkin,
the pumpkin. And I was just so happy with it. There was an office one. There was I believe there was an office one. I hope I'm not.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you're right.
And it was just so cool, man, to see all that stuff because it was all stuff that I had recognized. It was super fun art because it's pixelated. But of course, that's one of my favorite thing about that stuff is it's pixelated. And from a distance, I always like looking at stuff like that because obviously you get the clear picture. And I don't know, I'm always a fan of that like illusionish kind of art. And that's how I feel like pixel art is. But just seeing everything you did, you were so genuine. Everything was so fun about it and it felt right. So to know that you fast forward all this time, you stuck with it, you still enjoy doing what you do, just shows that, I mean, you were never in it for the money. Not that anybody thought that you were, but you really were trying to just enjoy your art. People enjoyed it. You wanted to make them happy. And now we get to the point of where we are in the podcast where we talk about your new collection, which is still the same thing. It's not like you did the Genesis collection of the Booze Crew, which was 50, I believe. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to use that hype to just go drop something completely different. You're actually continuing the Booze Crew, I believe. The pixelated ghost. And you are now going to make that a bigger collection for those that want it, because I know it's probably odd to have that Genesis collection and then to continually add to it. That wouldn't really be ethical. So no, I'm really interested in hearing if you can share anything, what you have planned, maybe the number of ghosts that you plan on doing, like how many is going to be in the mint. You don't have to say a mint date, but yeah, just a little infos on what you got coming for us.
So again, like that's evolved over the time I've been in the space. Like as soon as I sold out, people are immediately like, hey, how can I get a boo? Or how did I miss this? And it's like, that's a weird feeling too, right? Because it was around for weeks before that. And I know for a fact some people had seen stuff, but then once it catches on, like people are just interested again, right? But like maybe a half dozen people reached out within like the first 2 days and like saw what happened or had bought a boo like early on and was like, how come I'm getting offers for like 10 times what I bought this for? Like what happened? So I kind of had to explain that story to them. And a lot of people were just like, hey, like maybe you've got something here. And I think this, like you said, this cute little, as silly as it is, this cute little pixel ghost is, you know, people are vibing with it, they're enjoying it. Maybe there's something here that you can do. And again, for me, it's always just been about, I just want to draw some shit, right? I'm stuck in meetings all day, like Zoom meetings, like you are. And I've got maybe an hour break between meetings a lot of times, just because of the way things schedule out. And I'll sit there on my iPad and I'll just try to come up with something, right? And I'm very ADHD, so I would be drawing all kinds of really random stuff. But once people started, you know, connecting with Boo, it was like, okay, now I've got something that I can really like dive into, right? So it's limiting in some ways. Like maybe if I knew I was going to do a large collection, I wouldn't have stuck with, you know, 32 by 32 pixels, because it's not really easy to do like characters and stuff in a very simple 8-bit form. But that's part of the fun too, is figuring out how to make a cheeseburger out of, you know, Boo, or turning Boo into a little ice cream, or, you know, some of the weird stuff that I've done over the last, you know, couple of weeks, because I'm drawing every day. So every day I'll do maybe 2 or 3 of these at a time. And it's the highlight of my day. As sad as that can sound sometimes, is it's my time. Like nobody else is giving me an agenda. And if I want to draw a purple Boo with a wizard hat and a cane, somebody's gonna like laugh or smile when they see that, and that's good enough for me. So it's been a really fun process.
Dude, yeah, man, I love it. And I didn't even know you were doing 2 or 3 a day. As someone who really enjoys drawing and has been trying to do a couple pieces a day myself, I know that is no easy task, even with a pixel art. You know, that is still, you got to have dedication, man. You can't just, you know, you got to wake up every day with the same mindset of like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is my thing. This is what I want to continue doing. It makes me happy. And even though you said it sounds sad, man, I love it. You know, that's the highlight of your day. You know, that's where you feel like that's where you feel happy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that, man. But I do also want to ask, which I should ask you this at the first though. How has everything been for you, man? Like, you know, I know that you had the genesis. I know you started, I wouldn't say a short time ago. You know, you've been doing this for a little bit. So how has it really been treating you, man? Are you enjoying the space? Are you enjoying doing what you do? Are you tired? Do you want to take a break?
No, like I was very excited, having a good time, like I said, just drawing every day. But then the larger collection you do, the more pressure gets put on you, right?
Right.
So like people started coming into the Discord, and you know, I got a few followers, you know, all at once from, you know, a few, you know, friends sharing the project and stuff like that. And then the questions start, like, when's the mint? Like, how many are you doing? Like, what's happening? And like, what are you drawing? And like, how can I get a whitelist? And how do I get in the Discord? And like all these questions that you were like, I'm just here drawing this little freaking ghost because this is what I do, right? So like you start to, even though like I don't ever consider myself like an artist, like the Vinnies and stuff like that, like you start to realize what they go through on a daily basis when they just love creating and drawing things, but also have to answer those people that, you know, they're collectors in their community. Like, what's next? And what are you working on? And like, how can I get my hands on this thing that you just drew today, when he's just sketching in a notebook because it's, you know, what he wants to do that day. So it's a really weird situation to be in, even at the small level that I'm at, to have people reach out on a daily basis. But also it's that motivator, right? It's the driver that keeps you doing stuff, because you've got that community that's like, hey, I want to see you continue to do this, and in a supportive way, you know, not the when mint people or whatever else, or how can I get in the Discord, you know, just because they want to flip the project, but people that are like every day showing up and being like, what are you drawing today?
I like that. I mean, so are you now with this collection, like, are you getting more stressed with having a bigger collection coming out? I know you said, you know, there are things you have to think about, obviously more. It's not just 50 pieces. So like, right. What is the mindset now going to you? Like, are you approaching things differently rather than when you did with
so you have
the Genesis collection?
That's the funniest joke that I kept told to some of my like friends and stuff in the space, is like, I created this collection called Boo's Crew and thought I could do it by myself, which was, I don't know if it was like just ignorance or if it was like ego or what it was, but like, oh, I can just launch this whole project and handle the Discord and you know, handle the schedule of like, because now I'm starting to get into like collabs and hey, I've got an interview on Saturday with Sniper, right? So like somebody's got to start keeping that stuff straight so I can just keep having fun. because I said the minute that it wasn't fun, like, all right, that's how I would know like I shouldn't be doing this. So I've had fun all up until like the pressure really hit. Maybe it was about a month ago, when I was like getting close to like, hey, maybe I'll mint just what I have right now and like call it a day and just stop and mint this. And it wasn't like complete in my head, but also like, what's the finish line then, right? And I got to that point and it got really scary. Like now I've got to build a contract and now I've got to make a website and now I've got to do all this other stuff when really I just wanted to keep drawing. And that's when a friend of ours, right, reached out and offered to help. And that's our boy Bambo. He came through and was like, hey, like I see what you're doing. It may like, I don't think he necessarily pointed out like, hey, it looks like you need some help maybe, or like you're getting stressed in, but I think he could tell. And I think, you know, people in the space in my little community could tell that like, hey guys, I'm trying, but like, you got to give me another day, or like, you got to give me another week. And it's, everybody was like, take whatever time you want. Like, we're here and like, we're not going anywhere. And that was a really cool moment to be like, okay, there's other people that are not obviously as emotionally invested as I am maybe, but like are invested, right? And want to see this succeed and want to be a part of it and want to buy a boo, right? And Bambo offered to help out with like the organizing and community building and doing spaces 3 times a week. We do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday space for the last 2 weeks, and it'll continue to do so for the next, you know, while, which has been really weird, right? Because people like you will jump in and we'll talk about stuff. And, you know, we've had some really good turnouts and some really funny conversations. And, you know, Rudy will be in there playing the recorder or playing the sax. And it's just fun. Like I said, I got back to having fun very quickly once he stepped into the picture. And I'm so glad that I did.
Good, man. I love hearing that. You know, we love Bombo. He's a super supportive friend. He's very supportive of the podcast. He was dying to make this episode happen. Like I said, he texted me 5 minutes before the episode was supposed to start recording and be like, hey, bro, don't forget it's time. And I'm like, I got you.
He's like, you got an interview. He's like, you know, you have your interview today, right? I was like, yes. I'm like, thank you. I'm like, we're all set. Like he texted me at 7:00 this morning to like set it all up. But like I said, I love that. And having somebody else that's not you that is supporting you in that kind of way, again, is the world. It
yes,
really means everything.
Absolutely. Especially whenever it's, like you said, genuine people that care about you. They're not trying to just get over knowing like, ooh, I can't wait to get this money and then leave. Like, right, no, that's not what he's about. And we love those people. And it's real funny because, like you said, you know, I'm a big Drake fan. So I definitely thought about the Drake lyric whenever, you know, you said that you just want to have fun. And just like he said, the moment I stop having fun with it, I'll be done with it. And I love that line because it's so true. I've said it time and time again with NFTs. The moment I stop legitimately having fun, like I can get frustrated, I can get stressed, you know, that's human nature, sure. But the moment I legit stop having fun doing what I do is the moment that I will be done with everything and I will go on to whatever is next in life. But I don't see that coming anywhere anytime soon. So it's all been fun with me, man. You know, whether it's been doing these podcasts, just meeting friends, writing articles, it's been a blast. And to be able to meet people like you, Bombo, it's been super fun, man. And I'm glad Bombo was able to find you because he has been so excited. And like you said, he is on top of everything. And I love to hear it, man. Before we swap over into the other, I guess you could say, segment of the podcast, I do want to touch on one more thing, and that's basically overall the Genesis Booze collection, the new Boo collection, everything that you're working on as a whole, whether it be your team, you know, but what is one thing that you want people to take away and really understand before your minting comes out or before they even look into your profile or go to follow you? What is one thing you kind of want people to understand, or one thing that you want people to like know about just you in general?
Okay. We're already getting tough ones.
Oh yeah, they're about to get tough here in about 5 minutes, man.
Tougher and tougher. I want them to know that it's about fun, right? I did a Medium article about like what is Booze Crew, because I had people asking like, hey, like what's this about? And of course people started asking like, what's the utility? And the utility was I wanted to build a small community and have fun, right? Which I've already kind of done, and you know, you're part of that. So just, connecting with people, sharing the projects that we're in, sharing some of the life situations that we're in, just kind of having fun. So I've kept a closed Discord with only a couple hundred people in there for that very reason. We've got a small little like Twitter chat that we check into every day, which has been super fun. So I just want people to know, like, this is not your nesting moonbirds, right? Like this is not gonna spit you out some token in a couple of months, but we have already done some super fun stuff with the Genesis collection. Like I bought all my Genesis holders coffee one morning just because I can. Like that's the fun of having a small collection, is I know all the people that own booze. I knew them, their lives. I knew what they were up to. So like on a Saturday, I was like, who wants Dunkin' Donuts? And could just send them all Dunkin' Donuts gift cards for the day. So I think that IRL utility is one of those things that if there is anything to come of it, it's something like that, right? It's in NFT NYC, we're all grabbing breakfast or, hanging out and doing some stuff and connecting in some different ways. So there's a lot of different ideas that we have for like, oh, like what's next after this? But like at this point, it's all about drawing every day, getting to a point where I'm comfortable releasing the collection, which is probably a couple of weeks out right now, but no set date in stone. But it's always going to be about having fun. So I really hope that translates to the community and the eventual holders.
I love that. And I think it will. Oh, if y'all hear a motorcycle in the background, someone's getting it outside. But I love that, man, and I think that is something that people will see because it's something that I immediately picked up. And I think that's a huge reason on why everyone bought the Genesis collection that night on Spaces, is because you are so genuine. You were so kind. And I know that you have a feel of what things should be like. Of course, there's no perfect way or there's no template on how to do this NFT stuff. We're all pretty new, but just the fact of you get how you would want a community ran. Like you didn't just jump into the space and go directly to project. You right. Jumped in, hung around, got the feel for things, even did the Genesis, and now you really got a feel for things. So I think people will really respect that. Once they get to know you, and hopefully once they hear this, they know what kind of person you are. You're really nice.
Appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. You've been nothing but kind to me. And you and Bombo have been so supportive. I love talking to you all. And whenever you do those spaces, dude, it's such a highlight to my day. I love jumping into those. I've been checking my phone way more recently to see if there's some going on, just because I like turning it on, putting it to the side and drawing or playing on the computer. Hell, if I'm busy, I'll even turn it on and just turn my volume real low just so I can sit in there and be in there for another listener. So love that. Man, absolutely, man. I love you guys. So I did tell you that you had about 5 minutes before getting into the hard questions, but now we are here. Basically what this is, and I'll probably reiterate this on a couple of episodes until it's kind of cemented into the podcast and the listeners, but these are basically the same 5 questions that will be asked to every guest that comes on. They're super easy questions. They're fun, and it kind of gives a chance to have a different kind of conversation with those in the community, whether it be founder, artist, community members, so on and so forth. But to start it off simple. I gotta stop saying oh my god, I'm killing myself. But what is the most important thing to you in your life right now? And like I said before, you answer this don't have to be NFTs. Like you don't have to think about your most important NFT to you. It can be strictly, these can all be answered with life answers, personal answers, or NFT related. It don't matter. It's however you want to answer them. But yes, what is the most important thing to you in your life right now?
I think I got to say family, right? Family is always important. So I got a wife, I got 2 kids. They're pretty important. And like the only reason that I work every day is just so I can hopefully work less someday and just spend all my time with them screwing around. So I think that's a pretty common narrative, right? That's a pretty common dream and an answer, but yeah, family.
That's a good answer though, because like you said, you have 2 kids. You said 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
You have 2 kids, you have a wife, and to be able to do what you do, there's a lot of money in this space, a lot of opportunities for generational wealth. And I know that you're not a money driven person, but to be able to have those opportunities to give back to your family in such a great way, that's beautiful. And I'm sure that's what everybody is aiming for, whether it's their parents, themselves, their family. Like there's a lot of things out here that can change. So I love that this is one of the ways that now you're able to do what you do. And I can't wait for your family to have some Booze Crew gear, see your kids in a Booze Crew shirt and a pin. Like it's going to be so awesome, man.
Yeah.
So on the second question, what is an obstacle that you have overcome that has helped you get to where you are today? And like I said, that could be where you are as far as dropping a collection, where you are in life as to where now you can be at home doing your art or just anything, man.
An obstacle I've overcome.
It used to be, what is a fear, not a fear, what is a fail that you have overcame, but I wanted to be like more chill about it. So what's an obstacle?
I like that. So okay, these are tough. So I'll say, like, when I was younger, I got diagnosed with ADHD, right? So like, I had teachers that said, you can't focus on things and yada yada, but I was always really good at taking tests, right? So like my grades were never really suffering. It was just like, he needs to learn how to focus, right? And I carried that with me, into college a little bit. And it wasn't until, after college, I started realizing, like, maybe that's not a curse. Maybe having, ADHD and, bouncing between things isn't the worst thing in the world if you find a way to kind of leverage it a little bit. And that's really how I've tailored my life, as weird as that sounds. Like, I work several different jobs as far as like consulting and doing stuff in the NFT space and, drawing and whatever. And having that ability to, like, once I just get burnt out on something, to jump to something like drawing pixel ghosts, or once I get burnt out on that, to be able to jump back to, like, maybe I want to write an article or something like that, to have that freedom to and embrace the fact that I'm always not going to be able to focus on something for 8 hours, but I can turn that energy and that hyper focus into some really cool stuff, has been almost like a little superpower,
Yo, his teacher said, yo, you're not good at paying attention. He said, well, watch me become a superhero. Watch this.
Yeah.
I like that, man. You took what some might think is a negative, and you made a positive out of it, man. You were like, yo, this is not going to stop me. I'm going to continue to just find what I can do with it. And you did that, man. I love that. You made the best out of not a bad situation, but for you were like, forget that, man. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna do something regardless. I love it.
Like I don't like people dictating what I can do and what I can't do, right? So like, absolutely. I'm a contrarian. If somebody says I can't do something, or I'm not going to be successful at something, like, I'm going to make it my life to make that, make them wrong, basically.
Oh yeah, I'm going even harder to make sure that everything you said I couldn't do, I can do it, and I'm gonna show you.
For sure.
Yeah, that's us, man. And I love people with that mindset. You got to go for it. You can't just sit back, man. You only got one life, so you might as well just go as hard as you can, especially whenever people doubt you. To. This is a fun one. So when you leave the house to go out, what are at least 3 necessities that you have to bring with you? And you can't say like wallet, keys, you have to take those. So what are some other things? Like, I love how Rico said he keeps a little razor blade, and then he went into this spiel, because it sounded awful that he says he keeps a razor blade, but he went into this spiel on why he keeps it, and it sounded like the most useful thing ever. So I'm always curious, do people carry odd things on them? Like, I have a friend that he used to carry a Trevor Ariza basketball card in his wallet at all times. And I thought it was because he don't play basketball. He's 6'7". He's a chef in New York. But since like I met him, he always kept a Trevor Ariza basketball card in his wallet. And I thought that was so comedy that he don't leave without like that in his wallet. It was so good. So now that's what kind of like sparked this question. I'm always curious to see what are some things that people leave the house with every day and they make sure they bring it with them.
All right, so not wallet, not phone. I don't know how much shit other people travel with, but like, I do not leave the house with a plethora of things.
Okay, so you're a minimalist.
I guess, but I do have like all my stuff is in my wallet and my phone. Like, my whole life is pretty much a digital identity these days. So like, I feel like my phone is everything when it's with me, especially our community. Like, I can't be disconnected from, Twitter or Discord for too long. Like even if I'm sitting in a waiting room somewhere, you better hope that I've got that damn phone and I can send some memes around or something. But I will say the one thing that I always have on me, and this might be a stupid thing to admit, is cash. And not a lot of cash, but like, you know, $30-$40 in cash I always have in my back pocket. So if you run into me at NFT NYC, you could definitely rob me for $40. But it was growing up, like once, debit cards and stuff were like the thing. I remember very vividly getting declined, I'm sure everybody has that memory of like getting declined on a card, and I'd never wanted to feel that way. And that's been part of the driver behind like working so hard and like always having multiple jobs and like stuff coming in, because I never wanted to feel like, my parents always worked 2 or 3 jobs growing up, and like we never went hungry by any means, but we were definitely, there was tough times like everybody has. And I always remember like, my parents wanting better and wanting better for them and wanting better for, my eventual family. And something about that debit card getting declined, I think it was at a Target when I never had credit cards up until I was, my wife and I tried getting an apartment, and they told us without any credit, we wouldn't get an apartment. And I was like, well, I have been good about not running up debt this like my whole life until I was 20 at the time. And they said, you've got to set up a credit card. So I set up a credit card and did all that just to build my credit. But then I remember a debit card getting declined for maybe like a $30 purchase, and I felt like garbage. And like never again, right? So like before I leave the house, like if I don't have $40, like I'm going to stop at an ATM someplace and get out $30-$40 just because I always have to have that cash in my pocket, which is such a old school mentality when everything's digital and cards and Apple Pay now. But I don't like getting caught at a gas station and not being able to buy a freaking iced tea,
Oh my God.
And I'm not tight on money, but like that'll always be a fear of mine for some reason, and I don't know why.
My man has PTSD. He got declined one time, and now he cannot go forward in life without $30. That is
$35. And I like to have it like, a couple ones, couple fives, and like a 10 or something if I had my choice.
Oh, Andy has a whole setup. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love this. So the thing is, I've learned, maybe it's just how raggedy my McDonald's is, but I've learned that with everything going digital, it's such a greater chance for systems to go down, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But there's been so many times where I've pulled up to a fast food place or anywhere, and they were like, oh, cash only. And then there's no line there because nobody has cash. So it's actually not a bad idea to keep, $30-$40 on you. And if the unfortunate event does happen where someone robs you, it's like, bro, like, I got $30-$40. Like, I can give it to you. But, and even if you do get robbed, like you're only out $30-$40, right, not your life or, a crazy amount of money. And it's really funny because it's really funny, the question that I'm waiting for, because this is only the second time that we've introduced these questions into the podcast. I'm waiting for that one degenerate to be like, my ledger.
My ledger, yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at my ledger. It's sitting on my desk right now, and I was like, no, I don't travel with that though. Like that's not something I keep on my pocket. But that is, I'll let me know when that answer comes through. That'll be funny.
I guess I should start asking, maybe whenever you travel, like whenever you go somewhere else, what are some necessities that you have to bring with you? That might be how we shape that question. But going into the next one, what is one thing that you would, and you don't have to dox your age right now, we know you're not a grandpa, you're not super old or nothing, but what is one thing, because I know you're going to throw a joke, what is one thing that you would want to do before you get too old to do it?
Retire.
And
again, that sounds really like, oh, like, of course, right? But like my parents are 71 right now, which isn't super old, but like old enough where you're like, especially as a kid, you're like, oh, so you're retired at that age, right? They're not. They're still working and they enjoy what they do. So it's not, I don't cry about it at night. Like it is what it is. And they just want to work, but like they will work until they die. My dad will die working, and my wife's father is the same way. He's worked hard his whole life. And I don't know if it's like because they grew up, with Depression era parents or whatever it was, like they're just very aware of things like that and always think they've got to work. But it's like, what was all this work for, right? like I mentioned family earlier, like there has to be an end goal. And my end goal is to not have to show up to Zoom meetings 5 times a day and answer emails and, do all this work and stuff. At some point, like I would like to be comfortable enough that like, if I don't feel like working today, I don't work. And I'm fortunate. Like I said, I'm very fortunate with what I have right now that, sometimes if I don't want to work, I don't have to, but I would love to have a point where I've decided like, this is it. So like when I was a kid, it was like, I'm going to retire at 35 and like everybody laughed or whatever. And they're like, no, you won't, like blah, blah, blah. And you can't retire because once you retire, you'll die. Right. You've got to have something to wake up for. And it's like, I have other shit to wake up for besides work. And it's my family, my kids. Maybe it's that new Netflix show. Maybe it's whatever, right? But like, there's other shit besides work. And I think that generation is so caught up in like, you've got to have something to wake up for that's hard and, it adds value to the world. And like, sometimes I just want to be a piece of shit and sit around for the day. And I would love to have that luxury someday and not have to stress about, where the next rent check's coming from or whatever else. So, and like I say, I'm very fortunate to, have a good job and things like that. But that's always going to be my priority is to find a day where I'm not working, or at least not working in the way that I am right now.
The funniest part out of that beautiful speech was, and I knew exactly what you meant when you said it, but when you said, yeah, and I'm tired of the 5 Zoom meetings a day, I looked at the Zoom and I was like, oh shit.
No, this is good Zooms. If I could be, like I said, you see me in spaces, what, 2-3 times a day normally? That's not a Zoom. A Zoom is where I have to sit there and for no reason I'm in most of these meetings. Like it's not, I'm adding value. I love adding value to meetings and helping companies succeed. But like most of the time it's bureaucracy and nonsense. And you're sitting in a meeting because nobody could put it into an email, right? That's the kind of stuff that like, I understand it's necessary now, but it will not be part of my life when I am 60 years old. So like, that's my goal is at least by 60 to say, all right, maybe I find a new way to work, or maybe I'm a greeter at Walmart. Like I've seen people do that later in life and they seem happy. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but it's not going to be the same grind that, my parents had to do or my wife's parents have to do.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how my grandmother was before she had recently passed away. It was the fact that she was working at Home Depot and she was going to be able to retire by the time she was 65. She was like 58 or 59. And they had told her that like, yo, by the time you get this age, they're going to be raising it again. And it's one of those situations to where like, you're going to be chasing it for so long that you're not even going to meet that requirement by the time it's ready for you to go. And it was just like hard to be like, how are you going to tell me I've put in 20 years, literally 20 years. Right. And now you're telling me that there might not be light at the end of the tunnel. Like that was the whole point 20 years ago was to end here. And now I'm almost there and it's a no-go. So things like that can get frustrating. And that's why I do like NFTs. And I do believe that, there's a lot of people investing out here into NFTs. It would be hard for it to just go to zero tomorrow. I mean, obviously anything is possible, but with the amount of people involved now, I think it's really going to start picking up. And we've said that over time. But the thing is, it has continued to pick up. Sorry about that. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. The whole with the working thing, like I feel very, very, very blessed to not have worked in the last 2 years. And I haven't worked since I was 23. And to be able to do that at a young age is a blessing. And I got very lucky to get into NFTs when I did. And sure. in a time where you could just buy anything and it would do whatever. But that is the goal. I mean, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I'm so thankful that I have not been around on the earth long enough to get into a business job where I just have to sit in meetings all day. And I'm just like, dude, this is so boring. Easily, like you said, could have been said in an email, like just sitting through stuff and having to be so, I don't know, sad about it. But yeah, man, I hope that's where everyone is going, is to a sense where they can come to this space, get a sense of, this is what I want to do. Like, I don't have to do a 9 to 5 every single day. Like, I don't have to be miserable. I can actually enjoy what I'm doing out here. And I'm glad that you're able to do that right now, especially having a family and whatnot. But to get to the last question, this is personally my favorite, just because whenever I made it, I was like, damn, what would I do myself? And the answer changes for me every week. So
Ooh.
if I gave you 200 ETH right now, for one, you better marry me or something, because I just gave you, 200 ETH. But I told you it had to be spent on NFTs only, not like in the next 30 minutes or something. But the only thing you can do with this 200 ETH is buy NFTs, no crypto, only NFTs. What are some big purchases or plays that you would make right now?
So I am currently on a quest for a cat.
Yes.
Very bullish.
How many cats would you pick up, or would you only pick up one?
I would pick up a lot of pets at this point, because I only have one pet right now, and waiting until 8 o'clock at night to quest every night is freaking
pissing me off.
God.
I start shaking.
I think I need, again, I know I have 200 ETH to spend, but bare minimum I need a couple of eggs, because I got it.
At least 15 ETH on eggs.
Yeah, a couple of cats, and then I would do the same for my wife and kids. I would get my wife,
smart.
I'd get my kids a bunch of cats and pets and some stuff like that, and then probably some other projects. Like, I think it's so hard in this space. Every day there's different projects, but I really believe in cool cats and what they're doing, and in some of these brands that are evolving now. And it sounds corny to call them brands, because we're trying to get away from that in Web3, right? We're not all brands, but they're brands. And you need brands to bring this space to the next level. You need people that have had continued success, can show it on a balance sheet and say, look, guys, this isn't all JPEGs and bullshit. This is like, artists are being compensated for the first time, in history, in a way that's never existed before, and in perpetuity with royalties, right? So like, you and I have talked about this space and all the potentials for music and art and photography. So like, we're still so early, and I hate when people say that, but we are. Like, it's just still so early. So I'm excited to see what comes out of the next thing. And if, again, I had 200 ETH and I could spare a little bit of that by not spending it on NFTs and invest in like new artists, helping them get discovered and create their first collection, I would totally do that too.
Ooh, I like that. I'm waiting to see how many people say reinvest into the ecosystem in that way. And it's really funny whenever people are like, oh, I don't want to call it a brand. It's like, well, what do you want to go to an investor and say? Do you want to invest $1 million into my cute little cat picture, or do you want to invest into my brand as a whole? I think, one obviously sounds better than the other, even though they're both the same thing. It definitely takes building something, because that's my main thing. I invest into communities, not only that, but into people as well. And if I know that you're trying to make a legit business, what was once a 4-person team drawing cats and making a project is now a 35 person team with a legitimate business. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are trying to build the foundation to last throughout all the FUD and last throughout anything that they do. And I do feel like people like Cool Cats, Yuga Labs, even Azuki, people are trying to take that route and say, yo, like, yeah, we might be a profile picture. Yeah, we might try to do other things in the NFT world, but we are a overall business. We are here trying to give you something to really invest your money in and be like, okay, I'm cool with that. I can step away from whatever money I just invested and feel safe in that. I can't say that I feel safe in every investment that I take in this space. So yeah, that's a big thing to me for sure.
And if I could shout out one person really quick,
of course,
Toy Boogers. I don't know if you're into the project or whatever, but there's the artist behind it. His name is Doug. He has been one of the quietest but like largest supporters of artists that I've come across. Like, after he minted out their project, he could have easily just become one of these guys that's just full of himself and doesn't do anything. He has, he bought a boo before anybody else did, even before that space that night. He's given me advice like along the way, and I know he's done that for several other artists. So like, he's one of these people that doesn't just talk the talk. Like, I've seen him invest in people, in artists, in projects, and you need more people like him in the space that are here for the long term and understand that like maybe the difference in somebody's day or career is just him reaching out to be like, hey, keep doing this. So I would be, without people like him in the space, I don't think we're where we're at today.
Absolutely. They're the people, like I said, that we want to not only push to be, I wouldn't say the influencers, but the people that should or deserve to be not necessarily looked up to, but the ones that we should look towards for guidance and stuff like that, because they're genuinely trying to help other people. They want to see you succeed. They're not all about themselves. And there's a lot of people like that in this space. It just takes looking to find them, because there's a lot of gimmicks out here, a lot of rugs, a lot of people that want to put on this image and confuse you just so you'll give in, because like I said, there's so much money in this space that is being thrown around. It's very easy to forget even what the US dollar is worth sometimes. You know, I buy a lot of things in ETH and
it's only
like
0.000 ETH.
Yeah, total bad mindset to have, but I think we've all been a victim of doing it here or there at least once, or thinking about doing it.
For sure.
But Kipz, man, I want to say this has been a blast, man. I'm so happy that I was able to finally get you on here. We can finally tell Bombo it is
back off,
done.
Bombo.
Yeah, back off, man. You did your job. You're doing lovely. You know, you made it happen. But even before he was community manager, you know, he talked very highly about the project, and we definitely wanted to get you on. I'm so happy that it could come sooner than later, because this actually gives people a chance to check out what you've done. I know you're not in a rush to push anything out project wise, but I know you want to before too long, because it's something that you work on daily. It's something that you truly enjoy. And like I said, I love it, man. I loved all the cultural references. And now I really can't wait to see what a generative collection can look like, and what some of the one-of-ones will look like. And I still have my Genesis piece, baby. So
let's go.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going nowhere. But I can't thank you enough, Kipz, for coming on here. Continue to do what you do, and that is uplift other people. Thank you so much for supporting me. You know, it means the world to me. I love joining your spaces. I love being able to talk to you and calling you a friend. I love sharing my artwork with you. You know, you always hype me up. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, brother. And
keep being you, buddy. Again, I'm gonna end this episode on a sniper hype, because big fan of you, big fan of the support that you give other artists. Like, you enable other people to create things just by your support and presence. And again, that's just going to keep growing as you keep expanding. And I'm really excited to see what you do next.
No, dude, that means a lot to me, because that's the whole point of this podcast. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, what's the goal? Like, what is your whole reasoning behind the podcast? And it's literally to like help people navigate the space, help people learn. I'm not going to say who the correct people are in the space, because I have no say on who is better than who. We're all equal. But I like showing off and showcasing the people that I feel are doing correct in the space, and people that are great influences by uplifting other people like yourself and Andrew Wang, Calcio from Right Click Safe Podcast. Just amazing people that whenever you see them on Twitter, you know, they're not always crying. They're trying their best to be them and help others become themselves or see what they have. So, dude, I mean, it means a lot that people like all of y'all come on here and help me and help others, the listeners, because I'm a listener at the end of the day too, man. You know, y'all help me just as much as y'all help other people. But with all that being said, man, thank you so much. You know, this has been a super fun episode. And whenever you do the bigger collection, we're definitely going to bring you back. We're going to talk to you after you release that, because I want to see where you have gone, what you've done, everything between now and after releasing the collection. I feel like it's going to be a totally new world for you. It's going to be great for you. I feel like you're not going to be working a regular job. You're going to be doing your booze crew. And even if you're not, man, I know that you're going to have fun with it regardless. And that's what matters. So yeah, man, we're going to get you back on here. We're going to have fun. And again, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on here today for the 22nd episode, bro.
Appreciate you, Sniper.
Nah, no problem, man. For everyone listening in, don't forget, like I said at the beginning, you'll be seeing me on Spaces a lot more coming up this week, and for the remainder until NFT NYC, I will be trying to go to that as well. So will a lot of other people. You can also find Kipz on Twitter. I wish there was a way for me to like tag while on Zoom, but I will be posting his profile and the Booze Crew whenever I upload this episode come Monday. And you can also find me on Twitter Spaces. Just follow me. You'll see me on there as long as the podcast every Monday. But with that being said, I can't thank you all enough for listening in to the 22nd episode. You will catch me next Monday. I don't know who we'll have yet, but we'll have somebody great. Thank you, everyone, and we will catch you next week. Peace out.